City, county, and departmental funds available. Community development block grants, that's usually for brick and mortar, for a capital campaign. County supervisors, there was a recent article, I don't know how long that's going to last, but county supervisors have a discretionary fund where they can fund things in their area. Make sure that whenever you're dealing with these people in the political world or staff members, that you have statistics from their district or their area of influence, because even though you're located in Chula Vista, you may have clients that are impacted in other parts of the county or the city, and you want to be able to talk to that. State money, there's not much available. We'll move on. Okay, federal, there are funding that comes directly from departments like the Department of Justice and things like that, and then earmarks as well. I'm not a big fan of earmarks from a big picture standpoint, but they do fund a lot of wonderful things.
Slide, or just a comment. You mentioned community development block grant funds. You indicated they're mainly for capital. A lot of cities give them for programs also.
Okay. My experience with San Diego has been it's been mainly for brick and mortar, but if somebody said, okay, well, that's good to know.
San Diego's only brick and mortar right now.
Okay. The comment was San Diego's only brick and mortar right now, and I think that might tie into the whole shovel-ready mode we're in, because a lot of the funds are coming from the federal government. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say with CDBG as well, they release a plan, a consolidated plan that outlines the priorities of what they want to fund, and then also the city council members have a small amount of discretionary decision making within the CDBG program.
Correct.
And so it's really important to talk to your city council member and to their staff about what their priorities.
Absolutely. You've got to talk to all of them in the process.
And then also for the feds, grants.gov is like their website. They have an excellent website where you can like research all their federal programs, and you have to register and get a DUNS number early and just set yourself up, and so that as they come you can just apply. They've made it very simple now to apply for federal.
Good. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, ma'am.
Just one other federal resource is getting AmeriCorps member.
Right. Yeah, TKF, I think, has done that in their organization, and others. That's a great way to use AmeriCorps as for some of your personnel issues. Enterprise, we hear a lot about this, the social enterprise area, about starting a business. I know there's some of us in the room, Alan's one, and I can speak to one that started off with great intentions and ended poorly. And that was, I don't think I'm speaking out of school, but with Second Chance, we acquired a Ben & Jerry's. We thought it'd be a good way to train some of our folks and get them a little something on their resume before they went out into the job market. And it didn't really align itself as well as we thought it could with the program. And it ended up being a lot more expensive, and the turnover was heavy, and it just didn't work. On the other hand, Second Chance provides affordable housing to its clients, and they charge a small rent, but that not only pays for itself, but generates a little revenue for the organization. So that's a positive use of the social enterprise model, where the other one wasn't. So there, I think it's Jim Stone, who was the, I don't know if he's the executive director of the Natural History Museum. Well, they have a program that if a developer runs into an area where it's a paleontology mitigation program, and they raise $1 million a year because they bring their experts in to help the developer look at the site, and a lot of their artifacts and a lot of what they have on display have come from those types of operations. So that's a win-win in this enterprise area. Fee-for-service organizations that may have contracts with the city, the state, or federal government to provide services to a certain population. Just make sure it supports your mission and they're in alignment. Long-term sources that we're not going to talk about too much today, but once you get to a certain size, you've got to look at endowment and planned giving, which is the last item. Those two are very, very important, because you just cannot stay on that wheel every year generating all the funds one year and then have to start all over the next year. So these are long-term sources, and obviously with capital campaigns, they typically line themselves up well with an endowment. They usually go hand in hand. Okay, what are some of the activities? We've talked about major donors. The process here is to do good research and preparation to determine the capacity of the individual. And then what's the strategy? Is this an informational meeting? Is this a request a gift? Are we going to talk about referrals? Are we going to ask this influential person to maybe host another meeting of their friends and colleagues so we can spread the word? So walk through that process and make sure that you've really got clear objectives for the meeting planned out. Make sure that if there is an ask, that ask goes directly to a particular initiative or program that you've got that you're working on right now. We do not recommend this for fundraising. And I have a very good friend, Judy McDonald, who came to me and we were talking about an organization not too long ago, and she said, gosh, every time I run into them, I just feel like they want to pick me up by the ankles and shake me. And it's nothing else. It's no other engagement. So just keep that in mind, because people don't give just to give money. They give because they want to have an impact. Other activities, a website and online donations. If you don't have an online capability, please get one. Very important. Email, and I think some folks are in the room here today, but email communication, very appropriate. Membership programs, if you're doing them, they have to be very well managed. They're very database intensive. So be cognizant of that. Grant submissions, we talked about. Events, events are tough, but they have a place in the development area, not only for raising money, but for getting new friends to become acquainted with the organization. Be careful, make sure you evaluate your events from a very clear business perspective. I saw an organization earlier this year, and I finally looked at them and said, how many events do you have? You're generating like $2,000 an event. I mean, how much staff time is that? That is a lot of effort to be putting into events. So just be careful. Direct mail, obviously direct mail is a part of your program. For most of us in the room, it's not big. You're not big enough to do acquisition and very large mailings. It's very expensive, but targeted to your donors and prospects, spring appeal, a back-to-school appeal, a year-end giving appeal is very appropriate. I saw a hand.
Yeah, going back to events, what is your opinion on the gala, the annual big fundraiser?
I hate them. But, hey, they're part of the deal. Here, I'll give you an example. Second Chance, we never had a gala. We had a little adopt-a-block thing. Well, we did it at a gala. SeaWorld stepped up and helped us out. This is about 4 years ago. Some of you in the room might have been there. And we had the gala, and a good friend of mine, Miles Scully, who's a senior partner at Gordon Reese, I called him up. I said, hey, Miles, I need for you guys to buy a table. He was kind of wanted to torture me a little bit. So he just said, I don't know, $2,500. I said, Miles, I'm not asking you to do anything I wouldn't do. Can you please do this? So, okay, we'll send some people. He didn't even come to the event. He came the next year, so he got to know Second Chance. Then he came as my guest last year to the event. Well, he calls me up about 3 months ago, and he says, hey, Ray, I've got this class action suit I'm wrapping up, and at the end of the suit, we wrote into the agreement that they had to distribute the funds